is day 799 of the Arukh HaShulchan. To sponsor upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan, please contact me directly. You very greatly appreciate it. Today we're doing Siman Tuf Kuf Sif Ches to Siman Tuf Kuf Aleph Sif Beis. Sif Ches. That you should know the Zesha Savlu, Sif Vav, that feel about Bais, the base also the Shkol Leda Kami Basho, in about Basom is not allowed to wait in order to know how much to cook. Shine Fush Leheter. Sham is explicit as mutter. Bachi Yisa Sham says Tani Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Omer Afne Fais, who Adam Besatson Belicho, Leda Mayilo. Person can reconcile himself with a weight to know what he has. Gamarash Bamatir. Rash also permits this. Kamash Kosabatur. Bishmo, in his name. Bialacha says that the Avodas HaKodesh, however, is Machmir. And the Torah alludes that. But Torah Shulchan Aruch Chokim Alav Gam Yerushalmi Torah Shulchan argue on him and also in Yerushalmi. We time the Gemara because in the Gemara by us Bavli Matir Ravli Yishalim Do Kemach Litzasa. Rav allows a woman to measure flour for her dough. Shmuel Asers Maskina Sham. Mark concludes Allah Lamaisa Imishalanu Sarich Le'esor. If they ask us, we have to forbid it. Which goes to come and see Tov Kuvav. Mimela the Gam Basar also. So therefore it's also forbidden to weigh meat. Chagavna. Yeshu Sim in this manner. Yeshu Sim Ben Kemach Basam be one of the distinction between to have flour and meat. The Kemach Limdo Me'er Yontif. But she could have measured the flour from air and on Erev Yontif. Kamein Derech Yish Limdo Kemach Lisasa. Also, women don't normally measure, I guess they estimate, the flour for their dough. Lochem basar. By meat, we're more meticulous. It's hard to distinguish between different forms of weighing, or different scenarios of weighing. Also, language, you don't use the scale altogether. It sounds pretty much like it's also. Also says you're not allowed to weigh meat and in water. It's where you have a graduated cylinder, and there's the signs of how much there is, how much volume is. Notice about my bus has been water and meat. Only as much as the water goes up. You do about simonim. We know by the markers how many, how much the meat weighs. But you know what? It's not mukhlak there either, because that could be specifically for a sale. Because it looks like you're selling it, and it could be that that's different than weighing it home. It seems that way from the language of Gemara. Tabachuman says an expert butcher. Us lishko is not allowed to weigh meat with the water. The tabach lemechiros again. The butchers don't have to sell. Pelasha poskim mishvil din zed. It's astounding that the poskim left out this halacha. Volim Mushami and Raya. Furthermore, from the Mushami, there's no proof. The Agam Gemara Dilan. Also in our Gemara, yesh plukta b'zeh Rav Shmuel. It's machlekes. Yesh lama the Mushami. It's really karav. Mushami is like Rav, but we pass on Shmuel. Come, is that the echad osa came basically shkol basar ein lig orbo. Fascinating. Roshan says somebody weighs meat at home. Yotif, you shouldn't rebuke him. Rakloros leheter oser, but you can't paskin for lechatchila for people that it's mutter. It means that here in the brackets chemash teisves after ba'alochos les enoke come isol kal kiha yesh smachol matzirim. Even though it seems that the Ba'ag does not hold that way, but it's a Rabbanan, it's a light, it's a Rabbanan, so therefore you can be rely on those are matir. Again, not to be more halacha, but somebody who does it on their own initiative. Test. When they used to buy meat from the butcher, they would make a hole with a knife. They make a hole in the meat. They close up basar bed's bow in order to hang the meat on one's finger. They forbade to do this on Yontif. Mishabur says that some say that even a Ba'abas from himself should not make this hole in the meat in order to hang it on the wall. But to make a hole in the Afikoman on Pesach to hang it up, everybody is matir, even with a knife. Nevertheless, to make a shape, like a round hole, or like a Magen David, that you should be machmir. Okay, uh, 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 so you're not allowed to use the knife. But it says Roshul V'yasanek B'yav, a little bit sakin. You make it with a hand. You don't have a knife. They say Shinoi, make me b'chol. So it should be different than the weekday. We dash also make a to know that commercial activity is also not. The nekam ain't no shame tliya. The oil is not in order to hang it. Ela so supposed to but to make a mark in it that you shouldn't get mixed up with another piece of meat. Mutafil ben the sack, and then you can even use a knife. Nekam ze ain't connected with tliya. This is not like a whole to hang it up, which is more commercial. Ela is just making a cut to know the meat. Which says that you can't make letters and pictures with the meat in the meat as a simon, only just marks. Yud mogen rosh v'aglayim, you can remove the hair from the head and from the legs. Mavino sambu'ur, you can singe them with fire. B'tonos of or put it into hot coals. The coals of ochel nafshel, there's also considered to be ochel nefesh. But ain't totally so besid, but you don't remove the hair with plaster, a little bit charosis, or some other form of lime, something like that. Nor with it's not with the ground, stuff in the ground. Messy keyboard looks like you're tanning. But saying I'm ain't there close those kids. We don't even do this on weekdays. But also it says shorosh v'glaim is baraim. You can't cut off the hair of the animal with the scissors. Can be nation also tzarchat. So you're doing it for the purpose of the hair. Not for the purpose of meat. Yesh stopik. It's not clear mutar tzarchat seir b'sakin. Whether you can cut the hair with a knife. Do la rakim sparaim. Nirakosa tzarchat seir maps only. Scissors are a problem because it looks like you make it for the purpose of the hair. Moshe mutar taushin biyad. But maybe just like you're allowed to pluck off the hair with your hand, the body lo grim, mitlishos and notos pagos is no different than plucking the feathers out of a chicken. Mochem b'sakin, you can also use a knife. Oevsha the kol der gaziz also perhaps any food thing which resembles gozes is also the tzorechin. Not clear. Mishul writes that it's pashut that according to Yesh Machmir, Simon Tav Tzakeh the Im Ochel Nefesh, if you're possible to do for Erev Yontif, it's also to be Yontif. So there has to be there about where there's no time here in this case. There's no time to be molik on Erev Yontif, or the Yishech Erev Yontif itself. Okay, Yurav. Person can salt several pieces of meat at once. You know, only one of the pieces. Because it's one toil for all of them. Shulchan says this is what he means. This is what the end explanation. Taking a large amount of salt and scatter it on all the meat. Also, when you turn them over to do the on the second side. Gamkin also can do the same thing. But to do 2 times on each side, also. That's no good. The because they do a not for purpose of them. And also melicha is a little bit like working it. You know, there's no such thing as working or tanning or curing by food. Come rabbanos, and there was rabbanos asked they only asked them per minute what's actually tzorch yontif. Avam masha eno tzorch yontif, but something which is not for purpose yontif also it's forbidden. Okay, Gemara appears in those poskim. But for the Rosh, the sounds he's not learning like the Arukh HaShulchan's pshat. They do the melicha literally one time. This is what the Rosh says. Since there's no working over food, like tanning food, make a melichas boba, so you're allowed to, we're lenient by salting meat. Even though there's no purpose to in this heter, because the piece you need doesn't get salted any better because you're salting other pieces with it. You have to turn over each piece separately and salt it. Nevertheless, even though it's it's mutter. So the Rosh is saying salt each one individually. El Shmem Shech Echad Osachin. Just do it in one fell swoop. Negmar Shav Isa Ravad and Mariam Malach Garme Garme. So when it says Ravada would do a ruse and he would do bone by bone, saying, "Oh, you know what? No, I changed my mind. Not this bone, that bone." After he did one, he would say, "Oh, the other one's more endearing to me." Rivarosh Kasus and Rivarosh write this. Ramatur Shach Lois Krach Ravada. Ramatur Shach do not mention this. Harama, this ruse. Udvarim Rabim Nemuzeh, and much has been written about this. Says the Bachman going to run the task. And everything they say is difficult to grasp. Because like in the Rambam to appear Shuhach Shmuk Dvarenu. It seems that the Rambam and the Torah explain what Shmuel said, that you can you do several pieces together, even though you only need one piece. But he didn't want in one sorting motion. Can Yeshu Sekula obey the Ravada? So there's more leniency in Ravada who says to do each one individually. They're machmir like Shmuel. Avarif for Rosh Kapir Shekamosh Kosav Rosh. You can have the Ravada have a Chumrah. According to this, Ravada is a Chumrah. She'ein limlach so if they learn like the Rosh, yeah. So the Ravada is a Chumrah. Because Rosh says, make it in its mutter. To just do one after another, it doesn't matter. But Ravada is only allowing it, we've not, they harama. He's only allowed to a ruse. So it's more machmir because he cries the ruse. The bracket says, the man shekhin tav a mishnah, v'arash v'aprisha ayin sham. The Duke. Okay, so that's how some Rishonim learned. Yugima, v'losh rabbeinu beis Yosef. B'sifrei shkasim mutin lo kama chatichos. It says you're allowed to salt several pieces. Abi shein tzarech l'chatichas. Even though you only need one piece. Because Rabbeinu Ramah, must says yeshim is lo shayla arim, not allowed to do a ruse. V'akodim akil shachris just only before you eat in the morning. Umutchen, it's possible that to be all them will be used. Mutim lo chabas yontiv, abi shayla chol l'mon l'chol b'erev yontiv. So on yontiv, even though it was possible to salt on erev yontiv. Akam Shono. As Mishnah says, the poets can argue if this is, or if this is by through our Rama or not through our Rama, because so the it's not clear. The ain't no moving cloud. So Oroshan says, I don't understand at all. Rabbeinu Beis says, let's go cloud. Hachta Rama. He said it doesn't mention doing a ruse. Yeah, because so what's Rama saying? Yeshama means lo shari larim rakonim l'chil shachris. Who says that Rama? This I just feel like gam the hach the Shmuel mitam harama. So it must be that Shmuel also is harama, even though you're doing it all the vasachas. Elo she'enim avar also, but it's not clear what that Rama is. Behind the lechem itil lo imlach harbeit, meaning that why did I sort a lot? The shachal Omar can say akol achaz zu chaviv hali, like Ravada said. Like each one he can say this one's yeah, this one's better for me. Ravada have a mefarish aroma. Ravada explains what the aroma is. Therefore, it's only mutter before you eat, when you could say each one, oh no, I chose this one instead. That which you wrote, you're allowed to sold, even though you could have sold before Yantiv. There's a concern that they might get ruined if you if you salt them a lot earlier. Earlier you salt them a lot. When it's on Yantiv, you have to salt, if you shechel, you're allowed to salt even after you already ate. Because when you're concerned about loss, it shouldn't go rancid. It's like a huge hero sofa mishum tchilasa. The Mishnah says the Lachaim says it's only if you know certainly that it's going to go rancid, you don't salt it, which seems to be a very big chumrah. How exactly are you supposed to know that? Arukh HaShulchan says, this is a malicha for the purpose of kashing the meat and removing and removing the blood. And Mishnah therefore says, but if it was already nimlach and we got had malicha and rinsing, and the blood remove process complete, you can't salt it a second time, so you shouldn't sustain a loss. And even in the morning before you eat, even though it could be you eat it, you still can't do it. But on Leil Yontiv Sheni, you can go and salt it again by harama on each piece of meat to say this is what I want to eat tomorrow. And that is that you should do. They should eat from them, from each one of them, a little bit tomorrow. Okay. B'shar dvarim, kmo dogim, there's other stuff like fish, and similar. V'arei tzorach l'molchan me'erev yontiv. The Emlich you have to do from before Yontiv. Yontiv also, and Yontiv it's forbidden. In Bol Yontiv, they got the fish on Yontiv. Mashit tzorach l'so yamuter, when you eat for that day is permissible, v'ashar also, and the rest is forbidden. Lo dani b'tz nalig meat, shemuchel l'shkol kol behema b'shul k'tzaz basar. You have to slaughter a whole animal for even a little bit of meat. Chaytil l'molacha b'eh, that's allowed to slaughter a lot. Kasher shnogim l'naker b'sim Yontiv, abi shnishcha me'erev Yontiv. And he writes that the nikor, the removal of the veins and the fats, you do on Yontif, even with Shech the Erev Yontif. I guess it goes back to too early. Tell the Shanos class, it's best to make a shini based on Dover and Shanos, you can make a shini. Yesh Kasher Be'achrech L'Shanos, some say you have to do a shini, Dim Lab, Havle Kaborer. If not, it's like Borer. Not sure why. That's Nikor removes the psolos from Yocha. V'anachu lo nahagnu l'nakir. L'aplu shchop and yontav behemos. Arukh HaShulchan concludes the simple saying, we don't do Nikor, we don't check yontav animals. Both it's like a Nikor. And now you check as they did, and but there's no Nikor. The kulak sherahi. There's no forbidden fats. You know, to remove the blood, the veins, arteries, whatever they remove during Nikor. To rinse meat after 3 days. I'm Simon Shin Chaf Aleph. See there. Now there's a lot of Mishnah Berurah in this. Shmuel says soft fish which gets ruined if you leave it a long time in salt, you're allowed to salt it on Yontif, even if you rip them open on Erev Yontif, and it's like salting meat in all respects. Sharatzin said if you didn't have time to salt from Erev Yontif, then you're allowed to salt the Yontif. And that's specifically you're going to have to might eat them today, but not for the purpose of the day. No, you can't rip them open, and you certainly can't salt them. Sharatzin says Mokum Hefsek Gadol. You can allow shchita. What can I do? I think. You can do a lot of fish. Just like you can do masakenes, you can shecht, you can salt a lot of fish. Shmuel says nikor is a problem is okay rather when you have mind to eat on Yontif. But maybe you don't have mind to eat on Yontif, you can't do nikor even with shecht on Yontif. Unless you want to salt it, because you're afraid the meat might turn rancid, and you're not allowed to salt it before nikor. Trebering, as they say. As we see in your there. So in this case, you're allowed to traber also the rest of the meat by this ruse. And this that's I changed my mind, one of the other one. This really was Shech Yontif, but with Shech Erev Yontif, you had time to do Nikor. For 4 Yontif, you're now to do Nikor on Yontif, only except on the meat, which you specifically want to eat on Yontif. Mishnah Berurah says if you can't do Nikor with a shinu, you're allowed to do it without a shinu. And even though you could have done Erev Yontif, because Nikor it's not really a malacha, it's just tircha. And the hindquarters of an animal that you, which are, we don't, in the chutzarts we don't use, but you can't do Nikor if you make a shira evidently, because Gidanasha, etc. You have to be machmir not to be menakeret if it was slaughtered Erev Yontif. And there was time to be menakeret on Yontif, before Yontif. Mokan chash, as mokak, it's unique circumstances, you can be makel tzorach Yontif. Tough kupal. What wood can you use on Yontif? What can't you? You can't split logs from beams which are for the purpose of construction. Not just splitting. If you blow bikio, so you don't split them, you can't take those beams. The muksa. For Rabbi Shimon, the mixes. Rabbi Shimon agrees with this muksa. She muksa machmas cheson kiss. Because the machmas kiss is the kosher binyan. Ain't din l'sarim neyoker. You don't use beams for building to heat for heat because they're very expensive. If you lomi kosher nish bar yontif, you don't use beams which broke on yontif. The time shows the muksa me'esh mashus because it was muksa before from twilight before. The Shibura says also it's nolad because initially it was a beam and now it's like a keli. No, initially it's like a beam, which is like a keli, and now it's just wood. The Ramah in Tough Side K says that some people are matir muktzah in these cases, but here he doesn't say it because but nolad they're not making one. So Arukh HaShulchan says Raki Yehudi say muktzah. It's only called Rabbi Yehuda who holds the muktzah. It's not dealing with the Noah. Karif or Hamish Pask Rabbi Mukta, like the Rif and Rampas, and Rabbi by Mukta, Beyonce. But it's not seen in top side. I have a Shimon about Paisel Paska Mozo, Karif Shin Paska Paskan, like him and Yonte, Kamosh Sam Lusham, which is the Karloka, and the Mukta. It's not going to be the Mukta. It's also a Torah of Rabbi Shimon Mutter, Imi Ru'ua, the Karvu Shiti Shaver. If it's wobbly and it's going to close to breaking, so then it's already mukhan to be wood on for fuel on yontif. And if it's not wobbly, if you're Rabbi Shimon, that even Rabbi Shimon concedes the point that it's muktzah. Okay, all that is from the tour. Base beard varav. It means to say that if Rabbi Shimon lays in muktzah, going to say mashus eats koychiyoma. If Shimon doesn't know that sin was muktzah mashus muktzah for the entire day. It's only if you had in mind to use this thing during Benish Moshes. But Benish go Shabbos like a candle which was extinguished Shabbos. During Benish Moshes, you don't stop it. Because Benish Moshes, you are sitting and you are anticipating when will my candle go out. It's a large vessel like a plate. Which that you're so much you're not sitting and waiting that it's going to be mutter, then when it's going to be extinguished, also it's forbidden. Because time simulation is iron shot. A canaan be binyan or meaning of baits the ganke adin came. Also by issue of something which is meant for construction. If it was wobbly, unless the shaman is about to break. Mutar b'Shimon is from Milkon of Shimon the Daiti Loving. He has it in mind. When is it going to break? But if it wasn't wobbly, any you're not looking for it, anticipating, lawsuit is forbidden. This Rishad Sion says this is specifically about the beam. But a keli which is broken Yontif, Magen Avraham says whether it's shalim before Yontif began or was rickety, wobbly before Yontif, it has to do with whether we can be matir noilad on Yontif or not being matir nolad on Yontif.